What's going on, YouTubers? This is Luxury Castillo. It's been a while since I made videos on my 23 Nissan Versa manual transmission. There was an issue with the manual transmission. I've always wanted to make a video, but I keep forgetting because I'm always out of town. I'm in and out of the country, and I keep forgetting. But this time, I promised myself I gotta make this video. So this is regarding my Nissan Versa. Here it is, guys. And it's a 5-speed. So the issue that I encountered with this car was every time, this thing happens every time. When I'm driving and I'm not paying attention and I let the clutch go too fast, the engine shuts off. So every time the engine shuts off, I start the engine back up again. So it starts up really, it's fine. I mean, it starts up okay. But it starts up longer than normal because you turn the ignition on and you're cranking a little bit longer. Sometimes if it's not long enough, it won't turn on. It'll just crank. And then you turn on your key again, it cranks and then starts. So it seems, well, I experienced that when I shut off the engine accidentally by the misuse of my clutch. When I restart my engine, I crank it cranks a little bit longer. And because it cranks a little bit longer, I let go. Or sometimes it won't even start. When I mean start, the engine turns on. Cranking is when the engine's just turning, and then when the engine turns on, that's when it starts, right? So let's differentiate those terms. So cranking is when your starter engages and it turns the engine, and then when the engine turns on, that's what we call the start. So cranking and starting are two different things. All right, so it was brand new when I bought this car, and one thing I experienced was the first time it happened was I operated the clutch because sometimes I forget I'm driving a stick. So the engine shuts off. So I'm in the middle of the street. So I turn the key on again. I crank it up. It starts cranking, but it doesn't start. So I turn it back off, turn it back on again. It cranks again, and it starts up. Everything's fine. And then one thing I noticed is when I rev the engine, the RPM is slower than normal. It increases really slowly, or it boosts slowly. So I didn't think anything of it. But when I started driving, I am freaking slow. Put in first gear, I'm slow. Second gear, I can't go fast enough to catch up with any other cars. I mean, basically, I was driving really slow. Even though I'm stepping on the gas, I'm mashing it to the floor. And I'm thinking, what the hell just happened? Is it me or is it the car? So what I did was I pulled over, turned off the engine, started back up, and it was still the same symptom. When I rev up the engine, the RPM it increases, it rises up really slowly. And then when I took it around for a test drive around the parking lot, it wasn't giving me enough horsepower. So what I did, again, I shut off the engine, took out the key, opened the driver's door, reclosed the driver's door, put the key back in, started it up. It cranks really fast. After the crank, the engine started. And then when I revved the accelerator, the RPM increases really fast. And I test drove it, and I got my horsepower back. So it's fast again, or normal. So every time I misoperate the clutch, I shut off the engine. What I would do, what I did is to turn off the engine, or the engine's already shut off. I take out the key, open the door. This is in the middle of the street now. Close the door, and then insert the key, and then crank it up. And then I don't have issues with the horsepower or the strength or the power of the car. So that was my regular practice. And then when I started teaching my daughter how to drive stick, and of course she'll shut off the engine because she doesn't know how to what do you call feather the clutch, so the engine would shut off. And I totally forgot about this. So she would start up the car again once it shut off, and it would crank a little bit longer than normal, and then it would start up, and then she starts driving. And every time we go uphill, the engine would shut off. And I was thinking that it was my daughter because she didn't know how to drive stick, so therefore the engine shuts off. Then I quickly realized it was that the system. So I told my daughter, turn off the engine, take out the key, open the door, reclose it, and then reinsert the key, and then start it up. Then she got her horsepower back, and then she was able to manage and learn how to drive a stick. So that if you guys come across that, where you shut off your engine accidentally, the only way to reset this thing is take out the key and pretend you're exiting the car by opening the door, close the door back, put the key in, and then restart it, and then it'll be back to normal. You'll be able to restore it to normal. So ever since then, that's all I do. If I accidentally shut off the engine, what do you call this? That's all I do. And one time I was getting gas. I filled it up, and then I didn't shut off the engine by accident. I shut it off normally because I got to fill up the gas tank. I fill up the gas tank, and then I cranked, and then I was done filling up the gas tank. I started up the engine. It cranked a little bit longer than it normally does, and then it cranked a little bit longer. It was cranking, and then finally it started. And then when I revved the engine, the RPM, the needle, it was climbing up really slow. So since I'm already experienced with this, what I did is I turned off the engine, pulled the key out, opened the door, reclosed it back, and then restarted the engine. And then it cranked fast, it started fast, and then the RPM, when I rev it, it went back to normal. So that's all I do now. I mean, I've been driving this car. I don't have any problems with this car. I love the stick shift. And that's all I do. But it's been a while since I had to reset the car like that. Because I'm used to driving stick now. My Camaro, that's a stick shift, but I don't use it a lot. That's like my trophy car. And I use my Nissan, it's a stick shift, and I use that a lot. So, and then in the Philippines, my car over there, the Suzuki, that's a stick shift. So now I'm putting more time into driving stick. So now I don't shut off my car accidentally anymore. But if I do, let's say if I do crank, so here's the symptom: you when you first start it and it cranks longer than normal before it starts, and then after it started, you rev the engine, and then the RPM is like climbing up really slow. then you just have to reset. So reset by removing the key, open the door, reclose it, and then restart it. And that should fix the problem. Um, Other than that, this car, I don't have problems with it. Change the oil every 10,000 miles, synthetic oil, no problem. Runs good. Gives me, what, 35, 38 miles to the gallon. Got no problem. But on my next video, I'm going to make a video about the clutch. Since there's not a lot of information about hydraulic clutch and Nissan Versa, about Nissan Versa, so I'm gonna make one. All right, guys, so I hope this video helped you guys out, and if you guys have any question, go ahead and put a comment on below, and I'll try to respond to you guys as soon as I can. Other than that, guys, thanks for subscribing, and have a nice day.